What's up, everybody? Good late afternoon or early evening for some of you guys. Earlier today, I made a video talking about some of the weird trends of the NFL through the first couple weeks, with particularly the surprisingly competent play of a couple teams within the Seahawks division. And it's not just about winning and losing. It's not just about, oh, the Rams beat us. It's about something bigger than that. And I was wondering, like, is this real or is this fake? Am I overreacting? Are these teams not going to be nearly as bad as I thought? Like, what's going on here? So tonight in this video, I want to talk a little bit about another NFL-wide trend that I cannot help but notice, and this is one that affects pretty much all teams. This is not relegated to one team or one division or anything like that. It's this injury stuff. It sure feels like players are dropping faster than usual, noticeably faster than usual. And I don't know if they're actually dropping faster than usual. I imagine at some point somebody's going to do some kind of examination to see how the injuries this year compare to previous years. But it feels like you can't watch a game without 8 players going down. It feels like every single game you're seeing the cart come out a couple times. You're seeing players limp off the field a couple times. And after every game, it seems like everybody's on pins and needles waiting for updates on player X, player Y, player Z. So it sure feels like injuries are up this year. Now, the reasons why, if it is the case that injuries are up, and I feel like they are, the reasons why would be pretty obvious. The players don't practice as much as they used to prep for the season. They used to practice, what was it, like 10, 12 times a week in the lead up to the season. Now it's like 4 because they used to do 2-a-days. They don't do 2-a-days in the NFL anymore, and they take all those days off. It adds up, and it gets... Eventually you run into situations like this. Also, obviously, I think the injuries that players suffer are a little easier to find. Like, if you think about the old days, I'm not talking about like last year, the year before that. Decades and decades ago, players would get hurt and not even really know about it. Or players would get hurt and play through it because in their mind that's what they need to do. Nowadays, you don't really see that. You're not going to see a guy play with a broken leg. That's just not happening. Or if it does happen, it would probably be a big scandal and some people would get in a lot of trouble over it. So I get all that, but let's talk about the effect this is going to have on the Seahawks in the upcoming few weeks here, just to illustrate how big this is, because obviously the Seahawks are getting affected by this too. We're sitting here right now waiting for updates about Tariq Woolen. We're sitting here waiting for updates on Charles Cross. But let's talk about our next few opponents, starting with a team that's going to play in a few minutes here, the Carolina Panthers. So the Carolina Panthers, they've already been hit by this pretty big. They've lost one of their best players on defense in J.C. Horn. And we've known this for a few days now, but he was placed on injured reserve last week. So he's not going to play against the Seahawks. He's going to miss the game against the Seahawks. This is one of their top players. This is one of their blue chippers. This was a first-round pick. This guy's a big deal for the Carolina Panthers and that defense. So big loss right there. And again, they've only played one game. So they're going to be playing, their game starts in like 15 minutes, I believe. So we're sitting here, and honestly, the question is not so much, is somebody for the Panthers going to get hurt? The question is, who is it going to be? Because you know it's going to be somebody. The question is, who is it going to be, and how bad is it going to be? Are they going to miss the rest of this game? Are they going to miss a couple of drives? Or do they miss the next week's game against the Seahawks? Do they miss the next month? Like, you just know it's going to happen because it seems like every game, people are going down on both sides. So you can see it affect this upcoming game against Carolina and make this it's a different challenge now with no J.C. Horn out there. Everything kind of changes. Everything kind of has to reform around this idea of them not having one of their key defensive pieces. But we've known about this one for a while. There was also some stuff that happened yesterday that made a couple of upcoming Seahawks games down the line a little more interesting. So Saquon Barkley is the big one right now. Saquon Barkley has an ankle sprain. He suffered it at the end of that Cardinals game where they made the miracle comeback. Expected to be sidelined 3 weeks. So I think it's fair to expect that he's not going to make some miracle, miraculous comeback. I know Saquon's done that before. I doubt he's going to be doing that this time. So you look at the Giants' schedule, you can see That means we're probably looking at no Saquon Barkley against the Seahawks in Week 4 on Monday Night Football. That was a game that coming into the season I expected us to lose, but Saquon's a big part of that offense. I know the Giants chose to pay Daniel Jones instead of Saquon Barkley, but Saquon Barkley, I mean, he is just as big a part of that offense as Daniel Jones is, and as he goes, so often the Giants go. And by the way, while we're here, Andrew Thomas could go one way or the other. I don't expect Andrew Thomas to play against the Niners. I know that on Week 3, but Week 4 could go either way. So we'll see about Andrew Thomas. But Saquon going to be out for this Seahawks game, and that is a that has to have a massive effect on the way the Giants are going to play. I know our run defense has been good so far this year, relatively speaking. But if the Giants don't have Saquon, I do believe that changes things, and it has to make you reevaluate. And the week after that, here's a big one. This is going to be worth monitoring. Bengals head coach Zach Taylor told reporters that it was hard to say whether Joe Burrow would be ready to play next Monday night versus the Rams. So this is a week out, a week away, and Zach Taylor's already basically hinting, yeah, Joe Burrow may not be playing in this game. Now, Joe Burrow has played 2 games so far this year, and he's done basically nothing. He's been useless. He's thrown for 150 total yards. He's looked awful. He's looked completely inept. And we know that Joe Burrow's a hyper elite quarterback. We know he's a really good quarterback. So it's not like this is who he is. No, he's clearly not right. He's clearly nowhere close to being right. We know he had the calf injury in the offseason, and it's clearly still bothering him, and now he's re-aggravated it. So we got to ask ourselves, is Joe Burrow going to be playing against the Seahawks when we play the Bengals in a few weeks here? It's now a fair question. This guy on Twitter, John Breach, breaks it down. If the Bengals put Joe Burrow on IR, that means he misses the games against the Rams in Week 3, and then the Titans, Cardinals, and Seahawks. And Joe Burrow is that franchise. Joe Burrow is their franchise player. He is the guy, the chosen one who is going to lead the Bengals to a Super Bowl at some point. So I don't think they're going to mess around with him. If they feel like there's something wrong there, I don't think they're going to throw him out there because they're going to be desperate for a couple of wins. This season may already be off the rails for the Bengals because of the way they've started and the way that Burrow looks like he just can't play the way he usually plays. So if he can't go and there's something going on here, it would not surprise me if they just toss him on IR to make sure he gets right, because Week 7 is their bye week, as this tweet lays out. So he would get 5 weeks off. So that's pretty big. I mean, that's Saquon Barkley is a big piece of the Giants. I don't know if he's the best player on that Giants team. Joe Burrow is definitely the best player on the Bengals. It's not even close. Not just the fact that he's the quarterback, so he's the most valuable. No, he's the best player on that team. And that completely changes the way we as Seahawks fans would look at that matchup against the Bengals. Like, you could not have a bigger loss to any team in the NFL, I think. That, at least any team that we play this year. Like, you could take Micah Parsons off the Dallas Cowboys. You could take Bosa off the 49ers. You could take Jalen Hurts, or you could take any one player off the Eagles. I don't know who their best player is. They've got a lot of guys that have an argument. You could take any one player off any other team we play this year. I don't think they would do as much to change a team's ability as the Bengals losing Burrow. So yeah, this is affecting the Seahawks both ways, guys. There's injury stuff going on with the Seahawks that has us concerned. We're concerned about Cross. We're concerned about Lucas. We're concerned about Woolen. Maybe we're a little concerned about Metcalf. Maybe we're concerned about Mafe. Maybe we're concerned about Jamal Adams. A little bit of Witherspoon. But you look at the other side here, and every team is getting it. Every team is getting bit by this injury bug, it feels like. The ones that aren't are going to. And quite often, some of these teams are getting bit by the injury bug in a way that we do not notice because we don't hear about it as often. Like the Patriots' offensive line is beat up. The Patriots' offensive line is missing a couple of starters, a couple of key pieces on that offensive line. We don't hear about that all the time. It's not as big of a story as something like Saquon Barkley or Joe Burrow. but it is affecting them. So, feels like injuries are just way up this year, even from last year. This limited practice time thing has been going on for a while now. It feels like this year it's just hitting even harder. So I don't know what to really think of it. I don't know why it's up this year. Maybe it's just a fluke, but it's having a big effect on this upcoming Seahawks schedule already at the start of the year. Because when you think about it, we've already played the Rams with no Cooper Kupp, and now we played the Lions with no Taylor Decker and two of their key cornerbacks out. So every game we play is tinged with these significant injuries on both sides. And by the time we get to the end of the season, the later part of the season, it's probably going to be even worse because we're going to have 2, 3, 4 months of NFL football to knock these guys out. So it's not going to get any better. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. A couple Monday night games tonight. I should be streaming on Twitch for most of it. So if you want to come watch me play probably Baldur's Gate 3, you can come on by. We're going to talk about what needs to be talked about. And we can do a little bit of a impromptu MNF watch along. See you guys. Go Hawks.